Peace. Peace. Man. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not going too far in the future. Not going too far in the past. Right now. Matter of fact, I was about to do it again. I just must have hopped into a portal right there, boy. I just hopped into a loop where it's like, oh, let's do this one more time. And happy now, y'all. Now is a vibrate, of course. Gonna tap into basically some little aspects of two comic books. Matter of fact, I did a video recently speaking on Constantine and how his energy is a representation, or like in essence like the archetype or representation of what happens whenever you externalize your battle with your inner demons. So instead of like again doing your inner work, it's like seeing it as, oh, I'm dealing with the external battle of it, you know. But I want to just talk on a few aspects from that comic book, and then they had a Doctor Strange comic book I had came across as well, that basically just also showing another example, this constant example of the great old ones, this H.P. Lovecraft Necronomicon theme, that these are these great old ones, these ancient beings that existed way before time and this and that, and they're coming back, they're returning, and we should be scared of them, fearful towards them. But that whole aspect, and again, just getting into basically what this is about, just showing how comic books had that drip drop in essence. The comic books had a nice sauce on certain little aspects. Like when I'm reading a comic book, it feel like I'm actually dealing on a DMT trip, taking some acid. As a matter of fact, it's pretty cool. I remember, shout out to KT the Arc Degree. Matter of fact, if y'all not following that brethren, or should I say subscribing to that brethren channel, you should definitely check his channel out, KT the Arc Degree. And matter of fact, most importantly too, with the way he deal with like plant life and stuff like that. If you don't know, he's kind of raised under the tutelage of Dr. Sebi. So with that being said, but he also speaks though on comic books and heroes and stuff like that. And I remember him talking about how the people who wrote up Doctor Strange, they would be tripping on acid, or mushrooms or whatever, tripping off of psychedelics when coming up, with this concepts for Doctor Strange. And matter of fact, again, I saw that, I see it, and I saw it definitely in this episode that I read. But I'm just going through different aspects, of how, again, they have like a little sauce for us in these comic books. So one of the first things I think of, which I want to research on my own, but I'm bringing it up, because I feel though it may have some sense of, truth to it. But basically, in the Constantine comic, Constantine is seen as this, powerful mage or magi, what I'm saying, that's on that, that dark side of the game, what I'm saying, dealing more with the more demonic energies, what I'm saying, and more sorcerer-like energies, because the sorcerer is more so like trying to be more controlling with the magic, more of a masculine aspect. But one of the things that stood out to me, that Constantine, so within the story of the situation, he's staying in somebody's pet shop, and they reference how, like, matter of fact, they had a certain little being looking for Constantine, and it's like, damn, he's like, all right, Constantine's smart as fuck. He got this little spell here, he got this little spell there, what I'm saying. So it's like it's like him knowing all these different aspects of magic and how to deal with it on a high level. But again, he had a lot of pets, in his crib, and that's one of the things that the brethren said. He's like, oh, Constantine's smart. He was like, he using pets to throw off the clairvoyant energy. You know what I'm saying? So basically, like, he wasn't able to pick up, on the energies due to the clairvoyant. Due to the pets being around, it was throwing off the clairvoyance. And he was like, all right, kudos to Constantine for that. So that was something that kind of stood out as something that made again them leaking some real sauce about some magical aspects that may help. Because I've seen, and then too, when I think about everybody in LA owning a pet and how that's like just the stage of the new age movement and a lot of occult and esoteric things going on out there, I'm like, maybe that's something to why a lot of people have pets and why certain people that give off a certain energy may have pets as well. It's like kind of energy that may disrupt or throw off clairvoyance. So that was a cooler aspect they spoke on. Uh, and then they had another situation where Papa Midnight. Now, if you remember, Constantine also had a movie, you know what I'm saying? And on the movie, you had the brethren from Blood Diamonds. I forgot his name, but he played Papa Midnight. Basically, Papa Midnight was like the same. And matter of fact, I think in my other video on Constantine, I had the comic book and I showed because I was reading it at the time. And matter of fact, he had the Papa Legba sigil on his stomach, and then he had the Gay Day sigil somewhere else, but representing that Baron Samedi, Papa Legba energy. But anyway, Papa Midnight, had a situation where he came into the store and basically he was coming to revive Constantine, and it was showing you too like this vibe of like on this magical level, to a certain extent it ain't, but like basically how him and Papa Midnight, Constantine and Papa Midnight kind of had their little scuffles, but for a bigger picture they kind of had to come together on some shit because some other mages was like really threatening to throw off the balance in essence, and Papa Midnight, and again Papa Leg for the balance, he reviving Constantine, but before he do that, he tells someone to close their eyes while he's calling on the Lawas to revive Constantine. And he basically was like, so his soul doesn't flee at the sight of the bone pack unfolding. And that's kind of how the comic book says. So basically, they had another guy, observing. He's like, bro, close your eyes. And what's funny is I'm reading this aspect of this comic book right after not too long ago watching Bird Box, and closing the eyes and like don't look at these demons, because they may pull you in. So it's like, oh, all right, they had like a little, connection right there. And again, with this vibe though, again realizing though that with voodoo, Santeria, with anything, you know what I'm saying, it's all on how you dealing with the energy. So as Papa Midnight, reviving Constantine and dealing with these Lawas, and in essence, he probably dealing with some Lawas, again, coming from that Gay Day, Baron Samedi vibe. And there is, say for instance, a level of awareness, a level of, insight with dealing with these things. But what I want to get to say is like, when they got this situation where they tell them close the eyes before you see the Lawa, this is not anything to be scared of, again, because to a certain extent it's kind of would make voodoo once again seem like something evil or scary, like, because here it is where this thing that Papa Midnight dealing with could be something that snatches soul. So to a certain extent within the comic book, that's a little bit of that social engineering, a little bit, because again it is for the story of the for the vibe of what's going on in the it fits the description of the whole Constantine scene, of course, but it does also though help to more and more scare people away from from Santeria, voodoo, and all the Yoruba, in essence. But he had this situation again where like he told the brethren like close your eyes, because if you see me conjuring up these spirits, like these spirits might see you and and come at your soul, you know what I'm saying? Because this energy I'm conjuring up, again though, having that knowledge of it, he's like, I know these souls I'm dealing with for this particular situation may have a certain level of don't give a fuck about humans. So you know what I'm saying, like make sure you're not looking at this moment. But saw that little connection right there. Now on a whole nother aspect, getting into the Constantine situation, I mean the Doctor Strange was called a sorcerer supreme. You know, the sorcerer supreme are like those magical beings, and matter of fact, all these magicians uh, that are appointed, master magicians to protect the earthly plane. You know what I'm saying? And what happened was Merlin, was presented as one of the ancient sorcerer supremes, and he was time traveling, going through different timelines, grabbing sorcerer supreme. So he then grab Doctor Strange from his timeline, which was pretty. He grabbed Sir Isaac Newton, which I'm gonna get into that later. He was a sorcerer supreme. Pointing out that you had a Brazilian woman from the 1950s was a sorcerer supreme. You had this other like native indigenous what some people call Native American, sorcerer supreme. She had more like a shaman like vibe, but basically again Merlin went and grabbed all these different people to help him out. But the situation was basically matter of fact, I think about first thing that came to mind is if you haven't watched the anime called Soul Eater on Netflix, that's a pretty good one. And just also again that story of like Zeus, I mean not story of Zeus, but like with Kronos or the Great Old Ones, the Titans being locked up vibe. But basically, Merlin locked up some magicians out of fear. They practiced a darker magic, but had not harmed anyone. So it's like these magicians out there who was dealing with this darker magic, and Merlin basically was playing like the Batman vibe. So go check out this video, and it should still be probably in my movies playlist, the videos with movies and cartoons. But where I spoke on this aspect of this, this egoic mind, and also like this European mind frame of being scared of melanated people, awakening. And so it's presented in all these different avenues. The stories of these great old ones are these beings that deal with dark magic, dark black magic, are great old ones, you know what I'm saying, and with names like Shub Niggerat, you know what I'm saying. But that's speaking from again from H.P. Lovecraft, Necronomicon. But again, these people practice darker magic, so he locked them up, like basically he was on some fearful shit, like, oh no, they don't know what to do with that magic. Like, who in the fuck is you to say they don't know what to do with that magic? You know what I'm saying? And again, that's why I was speaking to like Batman fearing Superman, like, yeah, but Superman, what if somebody could decide to do something crazy to you and you'll kill us all? Basically showing that mind frame of egoic mind where Batman focused way in the future on some shit that's not happening, causing him to fight. Like Superman wasn't doing him nothing in that moment, but he like, oh no, but I just fear that one day you will do something, so I'm watching you. Basically I'm creating the situation by my fear. To a certain extent, or at least adding to the situation, because ultimately it is up to Superman as well, co-creating. But that fear definitely helps, projecting that fear, towards Superman. But Merlin, the same thing. It's like, oh no, these great old ones or these beings got this. They deal with this darker energy. So basically, he locked them up and he called them the Forgotten. You know what I'm saying? And which again, is the same connection with the, the great old ones, or the Forgotten. These beings that were thrown to the side. And again, this is reminiscent of Soul Eater and the Grim Reaper using the little kids, because they had the Magic Academy, and the Grim Reaper was the head of the academy, and his son, who's actually kind of like the Papa Legba figure. Because again, you think about Grim Reaper, that's also the Baron Samedi, energy. But also Papa Legba, meeting somebody at the crossroads, the Grim Reaper, because the Grim Reaper with the skite is used to represent Papa Legba at times, and also again with Baron Samedi being over the graveyard. But anyway, because his son, his little character, the Grim Reaper's son, always liked it to perfect, and he loved balance, Papa Legba walking in between the seen and unseen, balance, in essence, walking in between those realms. Kind of like that shamanic energy. But the Grim Reaper was using, the kids of the school to fight the battles, without them really knowing if they were, truly fighting for a righteous reason or not. And you see, you have like that little archetypical message, you know, I like to call it archetypical message, basically like a message that's constant throughout different, like, so in Soul Eater, in the Magi series, and Seven Deadly Sins, and all different animes. They have like the Full Metal Alchemist. They all have this little blueprint of where it comes to a certain point where the people who fighting, you know, for say for instance for what is seen or deemed to be the good side, they get to a point of like question like, well, shit, are we really fighting for something righteous? And we just going head first listening to somebody else. Like, we really don't know what's truly going on. You know what I'm saying? Like tapping into kind of showing that aspect, you know, of how you could be throwing yourself into the fire. Some person telling you fighting for something righteous, but you don't really know the true source, so you don't really know what, you know, are you really fighting? Because that's up to you to decide. Like, you know, that's another thing too. It give you an example of like, yeah, the Grim Reaper, you know, like of course, you know, feeling like, oh yeah, I'm fighting for this situation, but who's to say those students, you know, feel the same, you know? One of the students could feel like he fighting for an unrighteous reason, you know. But again, long story short, you know, it's that same blueprint. So say for instance, again, that same blueprint, because Merlin, you know, went grabbing all the Sorcerer Supreme, like, I'll tell you the rest of the story later, just come on. You know what I'm saying? And here it is, they fighting off these beings, not knowing, because matter of fact, one of them, the Sorcerer Supreme from the 1950s, where she kind of knew that Merlin had did something with her brother, you know, Merlin had locked up one of the beings who were considered the Forgotten, was that Sorcerer Supreme brother, you know. So here it is again, where she didn't really know what's on. She'd be fighting and trying to kill her brother without even knowing it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, showing that little aspect too, to just have that, you know, awareness again, like our own discernment. That's why it's so, you know, important with dealing with our heart chakra. And as I'm saying that, like, again, like with even with my videos and stuff, you know, it's like you gotta, you know, like not just accept things that I'm saying just because I seem like somebody who, you know what they're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, you still should do your own research, your own inner work, and see, you know, see these things for yourself, and not just like, all right, I'm gonna just take universal frequencies word for it. Now, there's an asterisk by that, because you do have, some of us have a strong intuition where we know when somebody's saying something. It's like, you know, our spirit, like, yes, like all the way with what they said right there. But even then, we still kind of gonna come across some extra information. I do some extra research, you know, still, but, you know, still having a strong confirmation. But, you know, you don't just, even with stuff I'm talking about, you know, you gotta have your own discernment, your own, you know, you're dealing with your own perception, you know, a way of dealing with things and looking at things in essence. But again, that analogy to Zeus locking up the Titans or Kronos, you know what I'm saying? And Sir Isaac Newton, though, getting to Sir Isaac Newton. So Sir Isaac Newton, his character, it was a personification of like the old America, like that old Western mind frame of like, I want to control things, I'm trying to be God, I am because I'm overly scientific, I'm smarter than you, you know. Matter of fact, Sir Isaac Newton didn't actually fight because he had like a slave working for him. Of course, in the story they wasn't like, oh, this is a slave, but you know, it was like his little robot. But they indirectly made Zangus, like the other Sorcerer Supreme, is like making jokes within the comic, like, I wonder when Sir Isaac Newton gonna lift a finger, because he been using this little, matter of fact, his robot is called Mindful. That's the name of the robot he using, Mindful. But there's a little robot and he just operates to Sir Isaac Newton's command. But, you know, again, his character is like a double entendre, pointing out the fuckery of this country, you know, because another thing too, even in personification of him being a Sorcerer Supreme, you know, even within the comic book, you know, even outside of his character, you know, just with the fact of him being in the comic book as a Sorcerer Supreme, you see too, like, again, him being that personification of like our way of doing things. Like, cause say for instance, like Sir Isaac Newton being considered like the best of magicians of all time. You know, compared to like like say for instance, that could have been Marie Laveau. Marie Laveau known for really getting down with the work. But again, just kind of point out how even his character within the situation points to that old Americanized way of thinking and vibe like that, and even him even being a character itself, you know, uh, is a personification of that energy as well. If you kind of feel what I'm saying, like as far as like again, uh, just the fact that Sir Isaac Newton is being promoted as this great magician is somewhat of a propaganda vibe within itself. You know what I'm saying? And again, not as I'm saying this too, not knocking it or none of that too, because again, just understanding what's going on. But it's like, oh well, oh no, I'm not gonna read that comic book because they're trying to push Isaac Newton. It's like, nah, it's all in the essence of the comic. And I know what's going on. That's the important part. But yeah, like Sir Isaac Newton, matter of fact, trying to be like the ancients that they admire, because again, like Sir Isaac Newton, when most of these people like Sir Isaac Newton and stuff like this was trying to figure out the magic of the indigenous people who predated them, you know what I'm saying, who really were dealing with it, but yet he's being raised up as some great magician himself. But again, another aspect pointing back to the forgotten, these beings that Merlin locked up. Again, they ain't even do nothing bad or anything, even blink the eye at nobody. But matter of fact, and he had to go through different timelines. Cause that's how the Sorcerer Supreme from the 1950s ended up knowing that her brother, had something to do with Merlin and shit like that. Cause Merlin had then came through and grabbed him, to lock him up. No trial. Matter of fact, no trial, no nothing. These spirits are let's see. All right, so this is a little quote right here. Cause another thing too, what happened due to the magic seals. So like Merlin had some type of magic sigils, on the walls within the little prison that he threw the Forgotten in, and basically it started creating a situation where they were merging together. So they actually became, after being locked up for so long, they merged into one being, you know what I'm saying? With all those different, how I say, each one of them being a different perspective or consciousness of that one being. But that being was like, these spirits are not innocent. They did nothing while we rotted in prison. So they had a situation where, Doctor Strange and other Sorcerer Supreme, like, man, you can't just do these two, because they had some quote unquote what seemed like, again, who's innocent, who's right, who's wrong. They had these quote unquote innocent beings, like the people of the village who, they was laying down half lifeless because they had a spell put over them that took their spirit and their soul out of them. They were kind of like dying slowly, transitioning slowly. The Sorcerer Supreme like, oh, that's fucked up. What happened to those people? They're just innocent people. So the Forgotten was like, well, no, these spirits are not innocent. They did nothing while we rotted in prison. Because, here it is, Merlin throwing them in prison. And they not like, well, Merlin, why are you throwing these innocent people? What's going on? They just, oh, not paying attention. And that's what they say. Happy and blissful, ignorant of what made their safety so secure. You have seen the truth with your own eyes. Merlin was afraid, and that fear drove him mad. He caged us. No crimes committed, no trial conducted. Merlin was just like, bro, I'm just gonna lock y'all ass up. Like again, having that vibe. Cause I'm reading with my little notes as well, making sure I hit all the little points. But speaking on how, again, these comic books, have these strong lessons, because every little aspect, is like the universe is always talking. Let's just scratch that out. Like universe is our high self is always communicating to us at all times. Every situation that's going on externally is teaching you something about what's going on in your subconscious mind. Point blank period. As much as anybody would like to deny that, and as I'm saying it on that level of point blank period, I'm not saying I'm right, you wrong. I'm just saying, hey, from my experience, I learned that that's the full true aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? Uh, but not saying that you have to again believe that truth, or again, you could keep on working to find out the same thing that I just said. Because again, it is for you to see it for yourself. You know, but I'm just putting it out there. Like it's everything is always speaking at all times. But and so what ended up happening, or so how this thing started to get interested and get into this other realm of again that occult esoteric vibes being exposed within these comic books as well. But like the forgotten, you know, part of that magic that they were scared of was them knowing the name of God. And, you see that little story parallel. These primordial beings. We are creator gods. You know what I'm saying? We from that primordial mother. The energy that brought life. In essence, just in general to I even say to this particular realm, but just in general, you know what I'm saying, that primordial mother energy. And so with that, you see that correlation of how Merlin, because Merlin and Isaac, Sir Isaac Newton was kind of in cahoots with Merlin's plan to a certain extent. But again, like the reason why though the Forgotten got locked up too, because they knew the name of God, which how some people would call it Yahweh, or a Yod Hey Vod Hey, the Tetragrammaton, a 4-letter word, that which should not be spoken of, that forbidden name. Don't say that name, because that name has the power to create and destroy. And matter of fact, I also thought about the little analogy of how like Abraham, like abracadabra, kind of Abraham, Brahman, Abraham, abracadabra. That because Brahman from Hindu pantheon, and then Abraham from the Christianity religion, where that father of like, of course, like Adam, but but like they see Abraham as like that father aspect, that beginning aspect, but like also correlating with that abracadabra vibe. Russ, you trying to go in the house? Just 1 second, can't ignore. You want to go into Zoe? Can't ignore the animal's request. But back to the Sir Isaac Newton situation. So again, Sir Isaac Newton realized though that the Forgotten had knew those words, that word of God. You know what I'm saying? He like, shit, I want to become that, that person that's able to create on that level. As a matter of fact, he even had a flashback of like, again, kind of playing into the story of Sir Isaac Newton. He's sitting there with an apple, and he's like, bro, I've been a prisoner to numbers all my life, and my magic having to do with the, breaking down numbers. And again, that Doctor Strange book indirectly let you know is about numbers, but it's not saying, it's not obviously saying, it's like, it doesn't stop and say, hey, this part that Sir Isaac Newton is talking about is a real aspect, and you should really study this. You know what I'm saying? No, it's just, oh no, this is just a comic book, and Sir Isaac Newton in this comic is talking about this, but in all actuality, it's speaking on some real shit. But again, like, these numbers and stuff like that, and it's stopping me, you know what I'm saying? He was like, to reach this higher level, though, he was like, if I could find out this name, I would no longer be in this imprisonment of numbers and trying to figure out magic on this level. I had the word of God, and I could create and destroy just by using that name, you know. And no coincidence, again, we're talking about create, destroy, you know, the Shiva and the Kali Ma, Shiva, Durgaya energy, you know, create and destroy, you know, energy we dealing with right now. But again, Isaac Newton personifies America. You know, he was lying the whole time. Like, you know, he was lying to the other people about what he knew. He knew he was always looking for that word of God. You know, just acting like he was down there to help Merlin as well. And he also was power drunk. You know, he was like trying to, you know, again, I gotta get my hands on this word of the God. You know, so again, and he comes from that you know, that beginnings of America, you know what I'm saying, Sir Isaac Newton, you know. But and when I said that too, something told me as I'm saying this, because I'm not sure my like high self let me know. So Isaac Newton may be, I can't remember, because again I don't remember the particulars, because he may be from Britain or England or something like that, you know. But his concept again is like his concept is praised, you know, throughout, you know, American or Western literature in essence. So, but he ended up being a trader, you know. All he was worried about again is looking for that name, the name of God, you know. And but basically that's it. He he was again sneakily trying to, you know, like knowing like, oh, I'm really doing this to find out this name of God, you know, so I could double cross these people right here and just, you know, be all about getting this little bit of information, you know. So you got his character personifying, you know, again, so Isaac Newton character personifying that old American vibe, and then even Merlin as well, you know, having that vibe of like, oh no, I can't, you know, I'm fearful. I can't even let these, you know, I don't want to let these beings get to this information. And even us getting to that fearful state. Even us getting to that fearful state ourselves to a certain extent. When I think about Phil Valentine talking about Hebrew letters being used to make sure that certain beings that didn't have a high level of consciousness could, you know, learn this information, you know, they put it, you know, they decoded it. And I thought about that. I'm like, shit, to a certain extent, you know, that may have been us being fearful on some type of level, you know, as well, you know, as far as like feeling like, oh wait, let me code this information so these beings don't get to us. So, you know, as much as again, you know, because I do understand, like once you get to a certain level of like things is gonna happen like this, it's like, all right, well, gotta, you know, I know this is happening, so let me do things to, you know, make sure we you know, don't allow this to happen in essence. But again, you know, if you're doing it from a fearful state, then you kind of in essence promoting it, you know. It's like, let me do this out of fear that they will get this, then guess what, you know, in essence you kind of creating that situation. But that's basically it, you know. I just wanted to share those little different aspects of this comic book. Again, the Sorcerer Supreme, Out of Time was the name of that one. The Sorcerer Supreme, Out of Time. And the Constantine comic, I forgot what was the actual name of that one. But I did show it on that other video so you could see how the cover looked, you know. And I don't own the rights to any of these comic books that I'm talking about and any of this, you know. I do not own the rights to these things. I'm just speaking on them. And I have that right to speak on them. But peace. Happy now. Now is a vibrate, of course. Not too far in the future. Not too far in the past. Right now. Peace.